Hello, audience. My name is Andrew Oro Alamar, and welcome to How to Develop Your Psychic Connections and New Predictions for the Future, brought to you by the Thrive Healers Network. And today we have an amazing guest. An amazing guest, would you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do? Well, same thing as introduce, but you know.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, there's so many different ways to introduce myself. My name is Janet Farnsworth. That's my name. My work is to help heal our relationships with our bodies so that we can live the lives that we deserve. And I suppose who I am is a soul and body here to hopefully remind us all of who we really are, which is so much more than our very limited minds think. Even as I'm looking at you right now, floating in the green galaxy. And it's so much better than it looks like out our just regular windows. So yes, that's the closest I can get to, I think, a comprehensive introduction. And I'm really, really happy to be here. Thank you for the work that you do.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. So are you a body empowerment coach or like intuitive?
Yes. So here's the thing. Here's I'm gonna share my little secret.
Okay.
Which is that, I started as, this isn't the secret part, but I'll get to the secret part. I started as a psychotherapist specializing in women and violence, sexual violence in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And then I veered a little bit into children's and family therapy, became a parent, realized I didn't know anything, and that I actually had to go back to school for parenting in my own mind, and then went back to get a second master's in creative and expressive therapies, and then had the good fortune to have a professor tell me, oh, just go do it. And so since then, I specialize in healing women's body issues and body confidence. Everybody's. Okay. Here's the secret. What I realized is that it's all just a ruse. That it's the way that we make our way back in to rediscovering and really connecting to who we are, which is this brilliance, this magic in body. And the way that we actually get to access it is through our bodies. Because unless we have bodies, we're back out there in the cosmos and part of this cosmic amazing ride. And we have so much suffering about the actual bodies that we have. And so, yes, I'm a body empowerment coach, but really, I think that anybody listening who's in the work of trying to make some more love and some healing in the world, we're all doing the same thing. My passionate avenue has to do with the body, because I believe that's the gateway into all the good stuff, all the rest of it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It did.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so body image is pervasive in society. So how do you
Yes, I'm sorry.
How do you approach guiding your clients toward a positive body image and a healthy relationship with their physical selves?
Oh, okay. By the way, if you give me a little bit of lead, I will talk forever. So you just like wave at me, you stop me. But okay, so here's my immediate response to what you just shared, is that there's a key thing that we need to understand about how we learn to perceive our bodies. Because the truth is that our bodies actually are not appearances. Our bodies are experiences, but we are all stuck in what our bodies look like. And now that actually is biologically, evolutionarily reasonable for two reasons in particular. One is that our sight is one of the most highly developed senses in our bodies. Like, did you know that your brain right now is processing, the information it's processing is 90% visual?
That makes sense.
So, right? So that it does make sense, because when we saw like the tiger 1,000 miles away, or not 1,000, can we see something 1,000 miles away? We saw the tiger like half a mile away, and we reacted as like a species. We lived more than if we waited until we smelled it, right? So our capacity to interact with our environment is very visually cued. Okay. You combine that with another thing that how we've developed as a species is that our sense of self and identity is not formed in isolation, meaning
Mhm.
you are not born knowing you're funny. You believe, well, maybe you were, but you believe you're because you make people laugh, right? So how we perceive ourselves is defined by how we relate to and compare to other people, right? So we had this experience of I I sorry, I got completely excited by something else that I will share in a second. But so we get stuck, right? And how, and my identity is what I look like. But the fact is that one of the other things that is evolutionary true is that we've developed consciousness, right? We become more self-aware. And this is all like meta. We can get in some really big, interesting conversations about what makes us different from the stone. But because I think the stone has consciousness, but there is something different, right? There's different from the consciousness of a plant, which is different from the fish, which is different from a human. And so we have this capacity to self-reflect. So in my book, we all make sense. So we now have a place in our consciousness to realize, oh, wait a second. My body actually isn't what it looks like. I can start to experience my body as what it is, which is an experience. Okay. So that is one of the first key steps to get off of the body image ride, is to realize, oh, my friend, oh, brother, like your body is so much more than its appearance. In fact, that's not even what it is.
Mhm.
And then you can get me started because, like I said, see, I'll talk until you invite me.
No, I think it's a really good thing. And I think what you said just gave me a whole new level of perspective because I'm looking at myself, I'm looking like through at myself through the camera and looking at my body and wondering, what does this say about my experience? Um, especially me as being someone who identifies as fat or obese or whatever. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, my experience is I use my weight to hide.
mm,
And that is
mm.
my identity behind being overweight, is I use it for protection. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, that was just perspective city.
Yeah. So, and here can I invite a whole nother piece now,
Mhm.
which is actually overcoming shame, right? This like you first you take yourself off of that path, which says it's what I look like. And then you go even deeper into actually accepting and starting to practice loving what the experience is.
Mhm.
And that means, in this case, actually making space for and not shaming that part of you that wants to hide.
Mhm. You're right, because I do try to hide instead of facing it.
And so, can we like honor that feeling?
Yeah.
Can we, right? It's no, and like I feel like right now I could like totally hold some space for you and be like, so like, and that like tell like explore, be with that, be present with that, because that's you.
Yeah.
You see, right? It's not your size. It's like it's what you feel.
Exactly.
Like, right? Like, hey, like, I mean, because listen, I mean, it's funny, I'm doing I just did a class, something about safety and fear, and it's like I honor that I was hurt. I mean, I was assaulted as a child. I learned my body was not a safe place to be. I know that I have my fear for a reason. I
Mhm.
don't trust for a reason. And so I got to make a lot of space, right? Like, can we make space for that part that doesn't trust or wants to hide and care about it and actually treat it as an intelligence?
I needed this today. Thank you. Woo!
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Because here's the thing, it's all love. It's all about how do we actually get back to love. This is just one ride, right?
Yeah.
And here we have it in this body, right? It's like there you go, right? It's like, oh my God. It's like how I deal with my body is how I deal with myself, which is how I interact with the possibility for love. So
That's so
yeah.
awesome. Thank you again so much. I'm probably gonna say that a million times during this interview, but thank
Thank you. Thank you. You are just beautiful. You're
you.
beautiful. And I could feel that. Right. And I know that your listeners can hear it and they know it. They see it. They vibrate with it. It's like what it's like. I don't even know. Are we audio? Are we visual? Whatever. Whoever's listening, I'm gesturing to my heart. I'm like, I'm touching my chest. I'm like this, like what I feel. I can feel I feel your goodness.
Thank you.
I feel your vitality. I feel, and and then we can get into some of the weird energy stuff, like, because that's also reality, right? That's the psychic thing. We're energy. And
Yeah.
I can sit here, and a part of what I do in my business and my profession is the capacity to actually be with my experience. I can also feel your experience. So I can feel your energy, right? I can help explore, ooh, what's here? What's your experience of yourself?
Mhm.
That, to me, that's where psychic ability comes from.
Yeah.
It's actually the ability just to be with ourselves in the most refined way. Like when I first started actually talking with people who had crossed over, it
Mm.
was it was at a time of like relentless, I'm totally taking ownership for everything that I'm experiencing. And can I swear on this?
Oh yeah, I do all the
Okay.
time.
Okay, so what I was aware, I was, oh my God, I'm so full of shit. I'm just making this up. I am totally making this up. And I really wanted to be cool. Ooh, that's like really powerful. That's scary. That's kind of sexy. And like this constant capacity to actually be with ourselves, then we have this ability to be like, ooh, this is what's not me. Oh, hello. Right? So, okay. So now I told you, you give me a little.
No, it's fine because everything you're saying is helping people who want to go deeper. So everything you're saying, I'm not going to stop you saying it because it's helping not only me, but whoever is watching and resonates with you go deeper, and have the same realizations as I'm having. So again, thank you for the millionth time.
Yeah.
But how do you help your clients shift their mindset and beliefs to embrace their bodies unconditionally?
Well, everything that I just said, shifting the mindset, and it's a beautiful phrase because we know that the mind and the body are connected, but they sometimes are at odds with each other, right? Like we know, like I'm actually feeling relaxed right now, but my mind is telling me, watch out for the bad thing that's about to happen, right? Or, I mean, there's so much to say about that. I mean, and I would be delighted to explore what the mind is and how it affects us. We want the mind, but when it takes over, it can rob us of what our experience is, right? Or our capacity to connect. So, to shift the mind, it's just, and it's such a great expression, I've never even heard it. To shift the setting of the mind is to first engage it and like let it know, hey, all this time, you know what? We've developed the belief that our bodies are only what they look like. And I'm here to show up for myself in a different way. I'm making a choice today because that's where mind becomes our ally. Or some people say it's like, it's not, the mind is a terrible boss, but a great servant, or some, expression like that. Like, I'm going to let my mind be my ally, and I'm going to choose today. That's the choice that we have in this sovereignty. I'm going to choose today to just show up for myself in a different way, not the right way, my way. That's it. That's all we got to do, right? And then we're going to practice in that way, being present with ourselves, actually allowing, without judgment, the experience of myself and what I'm feeling in my body. That's actually an act of love. Presence without judgment. Presence with compassion.
So how can someone be more present every day?
Oh, oh, start right now. Start right now. My favorite expression. Oh, I feel, it's funny. I can feel like now there's someone listening. This is the message that you're waiting for. Just stop and be where you are. Let your ordinary count. Let just the experience of actually your physical biology be what's here and let it matter. That's how we start. One of the other things I like to do is actually invite using your mind's eye to create a circular space, to really see for a moment like a circle around you or a bubble, like an actual boundary. So you use the mind's eye to see that you have a physical space, and then clear it and let yourself just be in the center of the empty space. In just that commitment in your mind, right? Your mind's eye. And then let yourself feel all that ordinary, like actually feel your body in gravity. And there's a weight, there's a part of you that's sitting on something solid or standing on something solid or walking on something solid. And there's muscles there. There's a heartbeat there. That this is without moral value. This is just the experience of right now. And then when we do this, like we could spend like 20 minutes just focusing on that. Then you get to expand your curiosity to the sensations that kind of meet where physical and emotional meet. Like, ooh, like I'm feeling a little tightness in my throat. Oh, I'm feeling a little sad, or I'm a little scared. Like I could sit here right now and I know like I'm a little thirsty. And that's also because I'm breathing a little bit harder because I'm excited and a little nervous. I want to do a good job. There's this capacity to be present that is the way that we shift from the mindset. We decide to do that. And then we start to actually cultivate a relationship with ourselves, our true selves. And then, yeah, exactly. And see, again, I still don't know if we're looking or listening, but I just saw you just like when you did that, you just did a little like shift with your shoulders, right? And so it's like when we dial it down to like just like this actual moment. Oh, my body has intelligence. What I feel has intelligence.
I'm trying not to like go deep into a meditation on
You go ahead. We'll go there together, right? Because that's it. Because we are all the same one. We're all having the same experience. Everything I'm sharing with you is what I could equally benefit from right now. And it's like just to be in the sweetness and the truth of that. Like, wouldn't that be a relief if like I mean, like right now, I'm personally too excited sharing with you, but I know the value because I have the gift of working with groups of like when one of us like breaks down or cries and is like, I'm really feeling like I have a friend right now who gave me the great gift of, oh my God, like it rained on me and she pulled out of the group and I did the depressed. It's like, oh, thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being real, And that to me is just an extension of this thing of being able to be present with the entirety of how we are, which we experience in our bodies. That's the only way we have ourselves. It's like, what? And so how precious it is. That's the secret. That's my real little secret, is I think that our bodies are our gateway to God.
I love that. Huh. I love that so much.
Me too. I'm glad. I love you, right? Because I would say that's my truth. Maybe it resonates with yours.
It makes so much sense because you always hear that keep your body healthy, or actually I heard this recently, keep your body healthy because you don't want God to live in a rundown shack.
Mm.
And then when I read that, I saved it because I was like, okay, this just shows me no more brownies. Get your ass up and work.
Okay, well, okay, can we mention that we talk about the brownies for a moment? Because if your body is the gateway, this is complex. And I know that before actually we met, there was this question of like health in the body, right? And so, I mean, I'm as a former, well, I am, I suppose I'm once a yoga teacher, you're always a yoga teacher. So I've been in the quote fitness profession for a long time. I have a tremendous amount of respect for oxygen, for blood sugar levels, for like actually recovering from injuries. I respect it profoundly. There's an and, right? To me, there's the expanded consciousness, which is, if the body is the gateway to God, or to me, the body is the express, like it's like it's porous. The body to me actually speaks God because it's speaking self. Self, in my belief, yourself is, you've got God's self in you, right? God is both outside, but you vibrate with that truth, that divinity, right? And if that is actually who you are, that means that your experience of yourself is a God experience. And that's all of you. God does not have like the good part and the bad part. Or like, okay, like you could, yeah. God is entirety. Love is the one entire truth. That means that you and your experience of yourself, the true you, like as you vibrate and feel you, is entirely God's self. That means the desire for the brownie. What? Okay. Love, God wants you to be able to embrace. I really want that brownie because either it tastes good. I want something that tastes good. Well, you know what? Sometimes there are a lot of different things that you can taste. Like I remember when my teacher, I was giving up like gluten and she was like, oh, no, 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 you have to find something to substitute it. Otherwise it will never last, because the desire for what the bread was giving me was from myself. I want to choose something, I want to taste something, and I want to be soothed. I personally have not given up, right? I have not given up my gluten-free toast because that is one of my access toasts. I like, in fact, I'm looking at it on my counter right now. I have 2 pieces in my toaster that I didn't get to before it's like, so like, it's like this allowance. Like I need to be soothed. I get to use the mind to negotiate with how I'm going to do that. Right. But I'm not going to shame it. I need to be soothed. I'm tired. I'm busy. I had my vegetables. I had my protein. I'm ready for my toast, And so, and it's not going to, whatever. Just, but I was going to go down the kind of toast I have, but it's like, does that make sense
Yeah.
about what the brownie is,
Exactly. Yeah. And I know what it is. I know that exactly like you said, I use it to soothe me, to soothe something in me that I'm running from, something that I'm ashamed of. I see how it goes back to A, not being present, and B, shame. So yeah, it's like you're preaching to me today.
I'll keep going unless you stop me.
It's totally fine because as we
Love.
continue, it gives us more insight, and you're answering questions that I want to ask already, but I just haven't asked. So,
Okay, good. Well, I will pause and let you just hold. I mean, because I see that it resonates,
mhm.
and like, thank you, just thank you for but for that acknowledgement, right? I'm on the path, right? We're all on the same path. I'm still eating my toast. Sometimes when okay, so here's what I have at night. I watch the Golden Girls, which is also my self-soothing thing. I mean, I've probably watched every episode of the Golden Girls 5 times, maybe going on 8 right now. And like my thing is like, I'll try to find like the hippie snacks, like, like the little chippy things that are made with cauliflower or chickpeas, whatever, because it still is the way that I soothe, even though my mind knows, well, you don't really need that. It's probably not good it's not good for your body. It's good for me because I'm at the capacity of what I can do to live the most loving life that I can.
Mhm.
And for me, and I know that right now in my life, for whatever reasons, and I'm still on the path, I'm still figuring it out. At the end of the night, that's the thing that I need. I need to check out. I need to numb my mind a little bit. And right now, for a lot of different interesting reasons, putting something salty and crunchy and carby in my mouth soothes me.
Mhm.
It's complex because I know that there are people who have genuine, health issues and concerns. I still maintain that no matter what the issue is, the inquiry can be the same.
Mhm.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good. I love what you're saying, and I don't want you to feel nervous because you're doing beyond wonderful. You're doing absolutely fucking phenomenal.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so glad. I like being fucking phenomenal too. That's sweet. Thank you. Thank
you're
you for
doing
swearing. I
you're
love to
doing
swear.
fucking.
And to really be interested, right? To really I could just see, I could you feel how like something kind of expanded a little bit? Just like, oh, feeling good.
Mhm.
Giving ourselves space and permission to feel good, not from the mind's perspective, but you got to really refine what it actually feels to feel good,
Exactly.
right? It's like, ooh. And then you get maybe you go into a little bit of like shadow territory or like the thing you're not supposed to like that feels good. Right? Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. Like, cause that's actually what I'm specializing in right now is like intimacy,
Mhm.
right? It's like, cause it's like, oh boy, You want to talk about an intense experience of the body? Can you think of one that I think food is a really big one because it's very fundamental.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's elevated to a whole other degree when you're talking about intimacy and sexuality.
Yes.
It's like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's like everything is in that with the body and the self and God to me when you're talking about that. But so feeling good, right? Like can we actually be interested? And not worry about how we look when we're liking it.
Exactly.
Like, right? No, really. And I say that from actually a spiritual place, like a what I think is a sacred space. I mean, shall I say something a little bit more about intimacy and sexuality?
Yeah.
So on this idea, which to me is actually very related to the brownie, which is related to the toast, which is related actually to sex. There's a tantric tradition that around the tantric temples, which inside are actually pretty empty, except for a Shiva, that all around the temple, there are carved images of pretty much every kind of like wild and outrageous kind of sexual act. Okay. Right? And the idea was to be able to walk around and look and every single image and anything that either aroused your desire or your disgust, you were invited to interact with. If you got lucky and someone was standing next to you who was standing at the same carving, that would be someone you could explore with. But the idea, the actual elevated concept is that to find that sense of peace, the sense of wholeness that we are, which true Vedic Tantra is what it's doing, right? We get very focused on the genital sexual Tantra, but the spiritual practice is to be able to be in your wholeness, which is to vibrate with divinity and God, right? And so the idea is that in our human selves, something that we either like have a particularly high desire for or disgust for are places for us to meet where the mirror, if you will, of ourselves, like the truth, is somehow kind of it's been filmed up. Yeah. Did I lose you?
No, that makes sense.
But that, and so it's like it's interacting again with what is shame, and like actually the idea is, can we just be in the presence of it with ourselves? You don't actually, in fact, I encourage nobody else, just you and you, just to be in the presence of yourself and learn how to love. Being in the presence of yourself is to be in the presence of yourself without judgment, to actually accept all of what you're feeling. I may have gotten a little bit meta. Bring me back.
Okay, so for someone who I guess is used to shame, for someone who lives in shame on a regular basis, how can they first grow conscious of it, and how can they begin to unravel that shame? And when I say unravel, I usually, when I relate to trauma, I relate to trauma as like a yarn, because it
yarn,
wraps and wraps and wraps around a core. So yeah, how can they begin to unravel that shame?
That's beautiful. I love that question. And to me, it really comes back to presence in the body, because your body is actually designed to metabolize. Your body is designed to eliminate waste. Okay. Your body, as we've just established, is, well, maybe we didn't explicitly say it, is not just biology, it's also energy. It's also, emotion. It's the experience of yourself. So you are designed, the true you that is experienced in your body is designed to eliminate what doesn't serve it. You do it hopefully once a day, or you sweat it out, or you breathe it out. You're actually designed to do that. And if you even just look at the miracle of your physical biology, it really, really does. 37 trillion cells, you got 9 billion. 330 billion cells right now, Oro, are actually dying and being regenerated in you. That, like, literally this moment, which means over the day, that means that in 80 to 100 days, you basically have a new body. What happens is the mind keeps us in the group, it keeps us stuck. So all of the, and there's something to say about that, which we actually know now. I mean, there's wonderful research that shows that if you actually look at the chemical life of a bad feeling in your body, guess how long your body feels bad before it's able to shift it into a feel-good chemical?
A couple of hours?
90 seconds. Your actual physical body can transform feeling bad into feeling good in 90 seconds. What happens is that the mind, the brain, repeats the thing that's making us upset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So all of this means that how do you do? First of all, I think if someone lives with shame, they know they do. But if you're not sure, just pause and check out. What are you telling yourself? Okay. So when you realize, oh my God, I have shame all the time. And I, by the way, think it's almost impossible to live in the modern world with not having shame about something or some parts of ourselves. I mean, we are just being a modernized society. We have shame. Like I can't talk about certain things, right? There are certain things that are no. I mean, and there's so much to say about that. So we all have some. And so to be able to change it, you come back to that idea of getting into your ordinary. Actually practice just being able to be with you and not pulling or pushing or judging or deciding that this part of you is good and that part of you is bad. It's profound.
I was just gonna say that. Oh my God.
And this is the thing, because I can feel you, and I'm like, we feel each other, right? And so this thing of being with ourselves, it really elevates our consciousness.
Mm.
It frees us from the suffering of the mind and the thing that shame says we're supposed to, be experiencing. And it actually liberates us into this expanded experience of the moment. It's a kind of like, I was going to say mind switch, but it's almost like a mind fuck. We can use that word. It's this weird paradox that the more ordinary you allow yourself to be, the more in the presence of yourself that you can be, the more in the presence you are of the infinite.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of trippy.
Yeah. And I love that you keep using ordinary, because I think in today's society, people are so against the label of being ordinary, because being extraordinary is so uplifted. It's so
Right.
plus on every package. Like you have to
Yes.
be extraordinary. You have to
Right.
be
Oh my gosh. Yes.
everything else. So I love that
Right.
you're using ordinary.
Oh my God, that's so true, right? Like, I mean, oh, thank you for saying that. I hadn't even like thought about that, but like, right, like that thing of like, I had to be brilliant and sparkly and like unique and all of those things which we want to be, and I would say that we are, but like there is this whole construct, right? Like on social
Mm-hmm.
media, and like the more spectacular you are, the better you are,
Mm-hmm. You have to
and
be everything but ordinary.
right,
Yeah.
it's exhausting.
Yeah. So when you hear someone say the ordinary, it's almost a little bit triggering, because you're like, well, everyone's telling me not to be. So
Well, no, thank you. And so and right. Well, what I would then offer is that ordinary, it's not extraordinary. What
mhm.
it is an ability to just be you in the moment exactly the way you are. That's a practice.
Exactly.
Right? It's like deep. Oh my gosh. Like if I sit here, I mean, that's the thing. I've always thought if we really can do this, we will never be bored. Because right in this moment, in my quote, ordinary, I am everything that I'm feeling and thinking now, but I'm also my experiences in the past. I'm also my ancestors. We know that because of epigenetics. We know potentially that if you believe this, I'm also the infinite. So good heavens, just being able to actually connect with who you are is like, there's a lot going on, right? So to me, the ordinary is extraordinary. In fact, the second lesson of my program is called Your Extraordinary Ordinary Biology. I think the ordinary is a miracle.
I think it's
Right?
absolutely wonderful. It really makes you just kind of like sit and settle, and
Yeah.
allow yourself to be ordinary.
Yeah.
Like it almost
And
gives you permission to be.
yes. And I hug your ordinary. I kiss your ordinary. I bow to your ordinary. That to me is where you find God. That is where you find your perfection.
So body positivity has gained traction in recent years. How do you view the body positivity movement, and what key differences are there between body positivity and body empowerment?
Well, it's interesting actually, because something we were just chatting about in terms of class and race relationships. I think that, the body positivity movement, oh my God, the movement,
Mhm.
thank God it's here, because I can't tell you the relief I feel when I go into Target and I see like actually like body positive or diverse bodies like in advertisements. I'm like, thank God it's time, right? I mean, like just to be able to dissemble what we've been suffering under for as long as we've had advertising. And I'll tell you something, I see young, I mean, I'm an old broad, and I have young adult children, and my daughter, who who is a part of a world in which the non-binary language, the gender challenge, the I don't accept your role models. I don't accept the paradigms of gender, sex, body anymore. It doesn't work. And so I actually feel like it's it's spreading, it's rising in so many different ways. And of course, equally, there is as we were also saying, there is like the what I see as the shadow, which wants to come take it away. And there's a lot more there's a lot more division, there's a lot more hate, because I think something's rising, which is saying equality, which, by the way, is something that when I can't remember if you said it during the interview or before, but this idea of, where does it come from? I think it's because I think that being body positive, as you just heard me describe it, is actually to be in touch with our divinity. And if there's anything that's going to give you, I don't know what would give you more power than knowing your own divinity and knowing your own sovereignty and knowing your own wholeness. I mean, I personally think that's also why like menstruation is so shamed. I mean, that's a life force. It's life force, right? And what could be scarier than knowing that someone has the power of life or death? And so I think that shame is actually, I do think it's like socially functional. It's kept us disempowered, So I'm saying a lot of different things now, but I can't even remember the question. Body positivity, is there a difference? No, ultimately, I don't think so, except that I know that socially, politically, the body positive movement, it's important that to acknowledge that, culturally, I think that Black women have really felt that some of that has come out of an acknowledgement of a certain kind of body, and that it feels important to acknowledge that that's true. And deeply important, even as I was just reading today about the maternal mortality rate for Black women in this country, and there's so much to say about all of that, and about how I think that, oh God, I mean, race also has something to do with how we experience the body, and so I don't even know where to begin saying all of it. But in terms of to me, body empowerment is a way to describe the whole ride.
Yeah.
It's like just, yeah, it's just be you, be you. Be you, because you're perfection, like all of you. Like, please be you. Please don't compromise you. Please don't.
I love that. So how do you incorporate body-focused mindfulness practices to help your clients become more attuned to their bodies?
Oh, so good. Oh my goodness, there's so many yummy things. But here's the thing, and here's the frustrating answer, which is the first one I have to give, which is that how you feel body empowered is how you feel body empowered. Because something that's going to be resonant for me or vibrate with me is not going to vibrate with you. And if it's inauthentic, it doesn't work. It's like, I personally do not believe in like positive affirmations as long as there's anything in you that feels like those are bunk. Because every time I say to myself, I am beautiful, if there is a part of me that believes that I'm not, all I'm doing is giving it a little opportunity to say no. And this, by the way, is how I say this with some humor, but this really is how a part of me has felt. No, you ugly piece of shit. Like that's what, what comes up. So it's got to be something that actually feels real. And that's an exploration, right? And so I will give you an example. I know in my journey with my own body, I have now ready now, because I'm gonna say something that could be a little bit R-rated, but not really. I have had a real feeling of shame around my breasts because after pregnancy, I've been 100 pounds more and I've been 50 pounds. I mean, I've experienced all ways of my body, and my breasts changed, and they were everything they weren't supposed to be. That was some of my experience of my greatest shame. Like I couldn't get a mammogram, certainly not comfortable with like, it being seen in bed or with a lover. I didn't even want to go to the beach. Like I can't, now I can, but it's like, if you see a stretch mark, like so much story about actually their appearance and the role they play in my life. Okay. One of the things that I have done to feel empowered and to overcome shame is to understand that the place of my greatest shame, i.e., my chest, is the place that I need to focus, and I have the opportunity to find love. It's an expression, right? Of like somehow like our worst moments where we find our greatest liberation, or like we have like, oh my God, same thing. Place of my greatest shame is where I have the opportunity to find the greatest love. So for years, I have done Ayurvedic oil breast massage. Now, that is actually a real way for me to dismantle the shame. But it's got to be real, right? It's got to be ordinary. It's got to be actually in the body you have and the person you are, with a full capacity to be in the presence. Because I also could talk about my cellulite. I could talk about, the size of my thighs. I could talk about a whole, I could catalog for you all the things that I can tell you wrong with me, right? But in this practice that I do, that, the body method, it's like, I practice first being the presence of myself. That is everything. And when I can do that with like love, and when I can do that with some compassion and gentleness, now I've got this opportunity to be in this garden of information, and to be able to find like what flower can I like cultivate? Like for me, it's my chest. It has been. Although as I get older and more things fall apart and hang low and change, I'm finding all kinds of places to practice, And so that's probably my most genuine response to that question. It's got to be yours, yeah. And maybe for you, positive affirmations work. I have a friend who, and I love it, she has written on her mirror, hello, beautiful. Like she got one of those mirror crayons, or like these beautiful things that she likes to read when she looks in the mirror. And for her, it's like a big hug. She loves it. It just feels like there's a voice out there saying, hey, gorgeous. And it helps, right? Like when someone tells us, aren't we wonderful? We're like, oh, that feels so good. So yeah, whatever works for you is what's going to work for you. And it can be hard to find sometimes.
Yes.
But right? But it's okay. That's the journey, is the medicine. Like making space to care about you.
Yeah. So is that the same way you would say that you deal with when you work with people who have, I guess I would say, deep shame wounds? Is that the same way you work with them, is by first showing them how to feel it, and where they can feel it in their body?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me see if that's the whole thing. Give me a sec. Yes, because when I have shame in my body, or I have a shame about myself, there's a story there. There's something about what's wrong with me.
So how do you help individuals separate their sense of self-worth from
Mm.
their past mistakes or negative experiences?
Oh, thank you. I literally just did a session today with someone about the power of forgiveness,
Mm.
not for someone else, but for ourselves. And how profound it is not to forgive ourselves for a transgression or something we've done wrong, but to forgive ourselves for being who we are.
Mm.
Right? It's so, it brings me to tears because, I also think astrologically, like I have moon in Virgo. I spend most of my life perfecting myself.
Mm.
And so there is a particularly heightened potency to me to the idea of self-forgiveness, but we all have it. We all have these ways that we tell ourselves we fail. We all have these ways that we say that we've made mistakes or we're imperfect or we're bad. And, there's something so radical about even forgiving ourselves, for for being bad, but even for like feeling that we were bad. Like, can I forgive myself for being me?
I think it's something we should all work for, or work towards. I think we do have a tendency, or people who are still wounded have a tendency of shaming themselves for who they are, or for the wounds that they have, or they've accumulated.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah, so I think, yeah.
And yeah, wow. There's so much to say about that. Yeah. So when we have the wounds we've accumulated, like, well, I kind of want to ask you, say more. Right. Seriously.
um, I don't know what more I can say. I think I was more so thinking about me and thinking about people I see with trust wounds. Um,
Mm, mhm.
one thing, like when you're on social media, when you're posting on social media, when you're scrolling through social media, is that
Yeah.
same wound, trust, 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 trust.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
my own. But it always bothers me that people will say you can't trust anybody. That's why you have to, I guess, like be alone or um, like I guess I could leave it at that. Is people will say a lot of the times you can't trust anybody because you've experienced these negative people and have this accumulation of negative experiences. And it always bothers me that it
mm,
seems like they're unwilling to even fix the wound of that trust, like, or the reason why that happened, and or are unwilling to look at if they are the beacon that attracts those people who are hurting their trust or who are
yes.
imaging their ability
Yeah.
to trust. If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And, to me, this thing of being able to go back to being in our ordinary, to be in the experience of ourselves, right? To be able to care for and love ourselves has in it an enormous piece, which is discovering our sovereignty, which is discovering that we actually are the only ones in a real way that can interact with ourselves, right? And so when I'm doing that, when I'm showing up for me, I'm taking responsibility for everything that I'm experiencing.
Mm, mhm. And I don't see that at all. A lot of people don't take responsibility for their experience.
Right. Because so many of us are disempowered believing that we can,
Mhm.
because we're so caught in thinking that we have to compare or that because we're outside of ourselves. But when we actually do this thing of like, kind of like, it's like, to me, it's like, I think about like when we're out there thinking about everyone else who's bad, and there are bad people. There are bad people and there are bad things that happen. There are bad things that happen. That is real. Like, I'm an assault survivor. That happened. I've worked with people in jail, the criminals. Crimes happen. This is not to say they don't, and that it's not perfectly necessary for me, for example, to have gone through my rage, to have gone through rejection of men or my father, or it's like, it's not, it's to actually say, that's the only thing that I can actually interact with is me. Right. And so I have this sacred sovereign obligation and gift to be able to interact with myself. Right. So that when I'm feeling like I don't trust people, okay, what wants attention? What does your distrust telling you need? And that's like, ooh, now we're getting into, I need to know that I'm going to listen to what I feel. I need to know that I'm going to let myself not like somebody. I need to know that that last time when I did trust them, I wasn't listening to myself, or that I made myself vulnerable. My heart is broken right now. I need to grieve. And I'm going to grieve as long as I need to. Like it's like it's letting you be the only, it's like your one precious self is the one precious reality that you actually get to interact with, right? That's very yoga, but it's like, it's so real. It's so real. Like that's it. And you're divine. It's like how, I'm like, how, if you consider that possibility, can you abandon this experience of yourself in all of its complexity and all of its contradictions and all of its mess and all of its pain? Like I've come through by knowing that I have so much shame about the way my breasts look, right? I mean, or I have so much shame about the way my body looks when I'm intimate with someone. I just feel like you're going to leave me when you see me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that's the little portal. That's like here I am in to me, the highest vibration of love, talking about this exact issue because I've had the pain of it.
That was absolutely beautiful. Wow. I'm gonna watch this over again. I'm gonna take notes.
I love you. Oh my God, you're so beautiful. I'm just it's all a reflection of you, my friend. Really. I knew that there was like, you were just a special soul. You are a special soul. We're a special soul. This is good. This is like, it's just good. It's good to be real and show up and fight. Like, thank God, like we're here because of you.
Yeah.
Because you're following, like, right? Thank you. Thank you for following who you are, for following your voice, for following your calling, your vulnerability, your need, your knowing. This wouldn't exist right now here between us if you hadn't done that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I did kind of reach out a lot. Like I was emailing you a lot, thinking that I had already interviewed you. I was like, oh my
I
God,
I see it.
I have to redo it, I have to redo it because it's corrupted. And this whole time,
It's
morning of
perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See, every time you say thank you, now I'm gonna have to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I have three more last questions.
Okay, my love.
Okay, so the first of the three is, do you have a free gift to offer the audience today?
Oh yes, I would. I have so many free gifts. I would like to give my love, and I would love. I have two books
Okay.
that are ebooks. One is Love Your Body, how to stop making your body a battleground,
Mhm.
and or from battleground to bliss. And the other is Your Body is Your Superpower. And all you've got to do for me to send them to you is just Google my name,
Mhm.
Janet Farnsworth. It's .com, and you will see ding, contact me and say, hey, I heard you with Oro on that show. Will you please send me those books for free? And I would love to give you one or both. It would be my honor to give them to whomever would like them, or to just contact me and say, hi. That would be cool too. You would gift if you're listening and something resonated. Like, let's just keep lifting each other up. So that's okay. That's one question.
And my next question is, do you have a prediction for the future?
A prediction for the future.
Yes.
Ooh.
Where do you see the future going, either in the near future or the far future?
That is such a glorious question. And I love on this summit for psychic, awakening and invitation. So here's how I'm gonna answer,
Okay.
which is gonna be like probably like just like, ah man, I have no idea. And I think that that is an exquisite place to be. It's like my not knowing is exactly where I can go in to find the truth, which is what I invite you and every single person listening to do. Because the truth to me is like there's one truth, which is love, and then we all have our own. So,
I love that answer. I absolutely love it. That's wonderful. Okay, my last question.
yes, man.
If people would
You
like,
person, you. Sorry, what? Go
sorry.
ahead.
If people would like to find you, people would like to work on you one-on-one,
Mm.
or people would like to work with you in general, how can they find you?
Same thing, just janetfarnsworth.com. I have a contact link there, and I'd be honored to hear from you. I do offer like a free call if you're serious about the possibility. I mean, I would love to chat with everybody, but the call is like we set aside real time to explore, like if and in what way you're ready to do body work and healing work. But I would love to have that conversation if you feel called.
That's awesome. Okay, and that will be the end of our interview. Thank you so much for
Oh, thank you. Back at
gracing.
you. Back at you. Really, I mean, just what beautiful work you're doing. Thank you, because you're changing the planet. You're making the future different.
We are making the future different.
So, fair enough. Okay.